Ever since we were in school, we heard about Ashoka the Great, the mighty emperor of the Mauryan Empire, who converted to Buddhism after watching the bloodshed and deaths in Battle of Kaling. The mighty ruler who conquered modern-day India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, and even portions of Iran, who won everything with the force of his sword, was defeated by philosophy and peaceful messages of Buddhism. That's what we have always been taught, from our textbooks to tourism guides. We even have a movie that tells us the same story. But what if I tell you it's the biggest myth in history of India? Instead of stories and tales, let's focus on historical records that we can find on our hands. In this video, I like to take an approach which you all will find pretty familiar from your childhood days. That's a simple question and an answer. I'll question specific curiosities about Ashok and answer them accordingly based on facts on our hands. His father, Bindusar, had 16 wives and over 101 sons, and amongst them was a son who Bindusar loved a lot and considered him to be the crowned prince. He was named Sushima. Crowned prince simply means the king to be after the present king dies. But everything changed in 274 BCE. That would be roughly 2300 years from today. Bindusar got ill and his son Sushima realized it's his time to gain the throne. But there was a problem. His brother Ashok had different plans. You see, Sushima was governor of Afghan lands and the capital of Mauryan Empire was in Patliputra, meaning current-day Bihar. So Sushima had to cross all the way from Afghan lands to current-day Bihar. That gave plenty of time to Ashok to assemble an army and to capture the capital, which he did. When Sushima finally came to claim his throne, he was violently attacked, defeated, and killed. After this, 99 other brothers of Samrat Ashok, he had become the Samrat, and he ordered to kill 99 of the other brothers to be killed because they could have potentially raised a rebellion against him. 500 royal ministers were also ordered to be killed. In 274 BCE, Ashok became Samrat Ashok, the king of the mighty Mauryan Empire that was only going to expand further. Ashok was known as Chanda Ashok in many of Jain and Brahmin sources and texts of his time for obvious reasons, for his brutal conquests, for his brutal ways. Anyone who dared to question his rule wouldn't see the next morning sunrise. He even built a special prison which looked from the outside like a palace, but inside was a torture chamber who would not agree to his ways of ruling. Kalinga, older name of Kingdom of Odisha, was an independent empire. It had control over eastern coast of India and deep sea trade routes which were linked to South China Sea. Strategically, it was located too near to the original Kingdom of Magad or the Magad region around which the Mauryan Empire was centered, meaning the regions of Bihar and Bengal and parts of Uttar Pradesh of today. So in 262 BCE, Ashok went to war against Kingdom of Kalinga. Now, the clear number of soldiers that fought from either side is a bit flimsy for accountings. But after defeating Kalinga, Samrat Ashok installed a few edicts in the region of Kalinga and told us that nearly 1 lakh soldiers died in the battle and over 1,50,000 Kalinga soldiers were captured by the Mauryan army, never to be released. Let's dig down into Ashokan inscriptions. There are around 33 Ashokan edicts, which are classified into 4 categories: major rock edicts, minor rock edicts, major pillar edicts, minor pillar edicts. In one of the minor rock edicts, which was established right after the Battle of Kalinga, it says, and I quote, "I have been a Buddhist layman for more than 2.5 years, but for a year I did not make much progress. Now, for more than a year, I have drawn closer to the order and I have become ardent." Now, one thing is pretty certain. He was a Buddhist way before the Battle of Kalinga. And he obviously had no problem with bloodshed when he was getting his brothers and royal ministers killed to clear out the competition. He also had no problem in torturing his rivals. So, before or after being a Buddhist really did not bring a lot of change in personality and how Samrat Ashok actually looked, perceived, and ruled. Now, ancient India was obviously Vedic Hindu by faith in majority, but obviously various sects, offshoots of the same Vedic Hindu faith, often formed new religions themselves. And India was very pluralistic when it came to finding God. So many sects went on to become full-fledged religions like Jainism, Buddhism, and a faith you may have never heard of, which was known as Ajivikas, which vanished over time. Though Chandragupta Maurya himself was Vedic Hindu by faith, but he has been known to have some links with Jains. Also his son Bindusar, who was again Vedic Hindu by faith, had some links to Ajivikas. Since a newly born faith or a newer form of religious philosophy needed followers, and there was no better method than convincing the king himself. The best and the highest priests of a certain philosophy or religion would often come and sit around the kings and try to persuade them to follow this new philosophy. And since Ashok wasn't coming to power as per the ways of Vedic Hindu faith, he must have faced opposition from the priests for killing of brothers and royal ministers. So, a newly emerging sect known as Buddhism was a good way to get some form of religious grant to his rule, since the kings used to be the representative of gods, and no Vedic Hindu god would accept the way Ashok came to power, so he obviously needed some other support. So trying to gain some favor from a new sect could have been his way to legitimize his power and rule. Because after coming to power, Ashok decreased the grants that were given to Vedic Hindu temples and started building Buddhist stupas. Though Ashok's nature must have angered many Buddhist followers as well, but his grants later definitely healed those side of things. But the whole argument that Ashok converted to Buddhism because he was shaken up by bloodshed seems to be shaky and nearly fictional. Another theory that goes totally against the belief that he converted to Buddhism after the Battle of Kalinga due to bloodshed is, why would he put an inscription that would threaten the people of Kalinga further if they did not adhere to his rule? And now I will quote an inscription from his edicts that threatened the people if they did not adhere to his rule. And I quote, "The beloved of the gods believes that one who does wrong should be forgiven as far as it is possible to forgive him. And the beloved of the gods conciliates the forest tribes of his empire, but he warns them that he has the power even in his remorse, and he asks them to repent lest they be killed. For the beloved of the gods wishes that all beings should be unharmed self controlled, calm in mind, and gentle. It's pretty clear that he was threatening the people of Kalinga even after the battle through his edict to surrender to his rule unconditionally. And lest they don't, they can be killed, they will be killed, was his message. It's definitely not a message of a person who has changed after the battle. It's a message of a person who wishes to use violence against people if they don't adhere to his ways. Many Buddhist writers also criticized Ashok for his brutalities, but at the same time, he is the favorite king of Buddhists, for he was the one that helped the faith grow across Tibet, China, and Indochina region. I guess a king requires a faith to legitimize his rule. At the same time, the faith requires a king to expand the faith itself. The more we read about kings and conquerors across the globe, the more we get to see this writing to be proven true. Whether it be Romans who helped expand Christianity, or Arab caliphates that expanded Islam, or later colonial powers that expanded their faith onto the colonies they ruled.